All right, welcome. Episode 11 of the Loose Lug Nuts podcast. The regular season is over. It is playoff time, baby. And I am joined, as always, by my playoff and championship contenders, Aaron Simolians and Zachary Brandevold. Zach, how you doing tonight?
I am hanging in there. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Okay.
We can hear you.
Yes, I'm doing all right. Just chugging along with the week. Happy to be here. Happy to talk some racing with you guys.
All right, and Aaron, how is it going with you? How is life in Tennessee right now?
Very wet. Very wet. We're getting the remnants from the hurricane that came up here, and luckily since I'm in Tennessee, kind of landlocked, it's not as bad. But right now, I'm kind of hearing some stories from down in Louisiana. It's pretty bad down there from what I've been hearing. And first, my thoughts and prayers go out to all of them. I hope all of them are going to be okay. I hope all of them are going to be able to get their lives kind of back up and running again. But for right now, I'm trying to stay dry and ready to talk some racing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to send out our thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by Hurricane Ida. We are getting the remnants of it here up in West Virginia. They're talking 4 to 7 inches of rain, but hopefully it will clear out so all the local dirt tracks will be able to go racing this Friday. We are in the peak of racing season and starting high school football season, and college and pro football is kicking off soon. But the regular season has came to an end, and let's talk some racing. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to hit the Xfinity race review. And the Xfinity race, it was the Colleague show. It was Colleague racing. Had to be a great moment, proud moment for Matt Colleague. They finished 1, 2, and 4, and basically it was 4 wide crossing the finish line at the end of the race. 3 of the 4 were Colleague cars. I think they missed out by just a few thousandths of a second of having a 1, 2, 3 finish. It was like the ultimate photo shoot. I think that's what Allmendinger said, is what a photo shoot that was, seeing those 3 basically cross the line top to bottom on the racetrack. It struck me, though, in watching this, how far Colleague racing has come. It was not long ago that they were a threat at restrictor plate tracks. Then with Allmendinger, they said, well, they've got a guy that can compete at road courses. Now, I think Allmendinger has elevated the road course program to where all of the guys are really a threat at road courses, and they are legitimate championship contenders, and they are contenders just about anywhere we race. So hats off to Matt Colleague. Great weekend for him, his drivers, his whole organization. Great weekend for them. And of course, I didn't say it yet, but Justin Haley was the winner there. I think Allmendinger was second. But great weekend for them. They are really showing that they are a dominant Xfinity team and a force to be reckoned with, and we'll see what they do when it comes to Cup. But that is the Xfinity race in a nutshell. I left plenty of time for Aaron to tell us about the Cup race because, wow, that's all I'm going to say to preview the Cup race. Wow. Take it away, Aaron.
Alrighty, for the Cup race at Daytona, things got up to a pretty slow start. The guys who needed to kind of win to get in, such as Austin Dillon, such as Matt Benedetto, like Corey LaJoie, like any teams below the cutoff line but just above 30th place, try to keep the race as tame and as calm, as cool, and as they could. For the first stage, really didn't see much action besides up front, where teams were just trying to lead some laps and trying to get in a spot to where they can win the stage. But Chase Elliott was successful for taking home stage 1. Stage 2 saw a little bit more action. The intensity started to creep up just a little bit as Eric Almirola and Alex Bowman got into like a little debacle after the inside line, kind of checked up a little bit. Almirola didn't see it. Denny Hamlin got a little bit damaged, but didn't really seem to hurt him all that much. But really, that was just icing on the cake for stage 3. Holy crap! Stage 3 is kind of where the proverbial poop hit the fan. There you saw basically all the desperation drivers trying to get out to the front to get that win. We saw, of course, Matt Benedetto. He was in the back all day long, So States really like 5 laps to go, trying to make a move around Chase Elliott, tried that double move on the high side, could not clear him, but Chase Elliott threw a very late block, ended up involving him and Mendon, causing a huge wreck, taking out several contenders. We saw Corey LaJoy up there trying to get that win, but unfortunately he was wrecked out in one of the final cautions. But then we saw, just to add to RCR's blood pressure, we saw both Austin Dillon have electrical problems. We saw Tyler Reddick get involved in a crash and just squeaking through. But it was in a very intense race. But of course we saw basically who I'm calling the the new silver fox of NASCAR in Ryan Blaney take home the win at Daytona for his 3rd win of the season, his 2nd in a row, making him a very, very logical title threat for the season. And also, I do want to point out, as much as we make fun of him, as much as we like to joke on him, Rick Ware Racing got a top 10. You did not mishear me. I did not misspeak. Rick Ware Racing got a freaking top 10. That is speechless. Tom, I believe you're muted.
Way to go, Rick Ware Racing. Golf clap. Way to go, Rick Ware Racing.
Absolutely. It only took half the field wrecking out, but hey, you got it. You got it, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, it seemed like the guys who had to win to get in kind of took it easy until we got to the end. Like they knew that they had to be cautious because points really did matter to them, and they kind of had to take it easy and make sure they were around at the end. And then, boy, that last stage, the aggressiveness got dialed way up.
Yeah.
But great race, fantastic way to, I think, end the regular season. Zach, you are going to talk about Formula One, but before we go to that, any additional comments on either the Cup or Xfinity race?
Yeah, so I was going to say BJ McLeod also got his first career top 10 with the Live Fast Motorsports, which is amazing to see with Matt Tifft and somebody else's owner, I forget. But anyway, they got their first top 10 in any NASCAR series. Thank you for reminding me that, Dylan Smith. But, just amazing to see. I think they did the right thing with the package. I think it helped a lot of the serious wrecks and blowovers that we would see, actually just the last race there, as well as earlier in the season as well. So I think it's I think they did a good job as far as dialing it back a little bit. I think everyone was kept safe, and there was enough racing, especially towards the end, that it captured a lot of this fan base. But
cool, good.
I was just going to go ahead
and IndyCar. Yeah, roll right into F1 and IndyCar.
Yeah,
F1. I heard it was a very exciting race and lots of action.
Yes, lots of passing on track, not really, but actually, IndyCar was not on the schedule this past weekend. They had an off week, so we're back racing next week at Portland International Raceway. So tune in on NBC for that one next week. I would say the F1 race, as we would like to say, it did not actually go. It was heavy rain and too much spray and lack of visibility for it to get going, which was unfortunate. They tried as hard as they could, but ultimately they did not get it started. So half points were awarded because they were able to get the cars on track for 2 laps. The regulations say that it should be 3. So that's interesting. They technically are only classified for 1 lap. Even though they did 2, I don't know. It's very complicated. The sporting regulation book didn't give a lot of insight. It seemed like the stewards didn't have a lot of information. And it was pretty embarrassing, I think, for Formula One to wait 3 hours, or more than that, actually, really 5 hours total to get a race in and ultimately not getting it in. So, and they still awarded the points, which was, I guess, a technical loophole that they allowed. And all of the drivers are very saying they didn't do anything. They stayed behind the safety car the entire way. It was under caution, so no green flag laps were attempted, and just a really bad look for any first time. I know, Aaron, you said you were trying to watch it for a little bit, but I'm sure that wasn't a very good start to your F1 watching. But yeah, I think in consensus, a lot of the fans, a lot of the teams, a lot of the drivers, they don't like it. They don't like that it was awarded points because they don't think that it was a correct an actual race, because no racing was actually involved. And an interesting comment, if you want to pull that up, Tom, the most recent one. Do I think that was a bigger embarrassment than the 2005 U.S. Grand Prix? Now, that is interesting, because I don't know if you guys know, Tom or Aaron, but the 2005 Grand Prix was held at Indianapolis, and they had two different tire manufacturers at the time. They had Michelin, and they had, I believe,
Firestone, was it?
Firestone, or I'm embarrassed that I don't know this.
Bridgestone, that was it.
Yes, Bridgestone. Thank you, Bridgestone, and anyway, Michelin. Thank you. And there was actually tire concerns all race or all weekend, and ended up only Michelin, or I believe one of the tire manufacturers race. There was ended up only being 6 drivers actually race. Do I think it's a bigger embarrassment? No, but I think it's really close. The fact that they didn't understand the rules, and the fact that they didn't, they made a lot of the stuff, it seemed like, on the fly, and they waited so long to make the decisions. Definitely was an embarrassment, and definitely one of the biggest embarrassments that I think in motorsport history recently, for sure. But yeah, that's what I have on the F1 Grand Prix at Spa. They move on to the Netherlands, Zandvoort. I'm probably saying that very wrong. Next weekend, so tune in. It's going to be at, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern, or 9 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. Okay, and I guess we're going right in, or you guys don't have anything to add, right?
Like I said last week, I can barely spell F1, so I have nothing to add.
You're going to have to tune in next week. I think it's going to be an interesting race.
I think I picked a good one to skip, though.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, but let's head on to the news segment. So, Zach, tell us everything that's going on from the news perspective.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of news this week. First of all, big news: Kurt Busch lands at 23XI Racing for 2022, driving the number 45 Toyota. Do you think he'll be more successful next season than Bubba Wallace? Where do you think they will get their next charter from for that 45 Toyota? Who wants to start?
Aaron? I'll jump on it. I think Kurt Busch is here. To me, he reminds me a little bit of Ryan Newman. He is a professional race car driver, okay, in every sense of the word. He knows how to get the most out of the car. He knows when to be aggressive. He knows when to be patient. He knows when to take what the car will give him. He has spent 20 years giving feedback to crew chiefs and pit crews and organizations about how to make them better. I think he's going to be more successful than Bubba Wallace next year. I think the degree of how much more successful he is going to show a lot about whether it's not going to show a lot about him as a driver, but it's going to show a lot about Bubba. If Bubba and he have similar results, it shows that Bubba really has the talent and he's living up to the equipment. If there's a big gap in him, I think it's going to show that there's a big gap in talent in the drivers. But to me, Kurt is a professional driver. You're going to get all you can out of that car when you put somebody with the experience of Kurt Busch in it. So as far as the charter, I have no idea. We could debate charters all night, but that's what I have to say. I think he will be more successful than Bubba next year, though.
Aaron, what do you have to say?
I will say that this is probably the least surprising news we've had in quite a while. I mean, it was pretty much like 99.9% confirmed that Kurt Busch was going to go to 23XI Racing. It's just kind of a matter of when they're going to announce it. I'll say probably the most surprising things, and for 2 reasons. One would be the 45. I did not see that coming. I thought I know what number. I kind of thought that they were going to bring out the 1 or the 97 or number that Kurt Busch has had in the past. But 45 is okay. And from what I've heard, that was Michael Jordan's old number. I think when he played for the Hornets, I think, or
when he returned
the Sonics
after retirement.
When he came back, okay, so that makes a little more sense. But also the number placements, I'm gonna hold my comments on that. And for the charter, I believe I know where the charter is going to come from, and we'll talk about it later on in this broadcast. Okay. But yeah, I really do think that Kurt Busch is going to really kind of see where 2311 is with the rest of the field, because again, Kurt Busch has dealt with this kind of dealt with the underperforming kind of secondhand cars before with French Racing, with Phoenix Racing. Yeah. And he's done some pretty decent stuff with that kind of equipment too. And so I'm very interested to see kind of what he has left the tank in terms of like secondhand equipment kind of style race cars.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good indication as to the talent level and and not only just the drivers, I would think also with the team as well, where their equipment stands. Bubba Wallace has never had a teammate before, so it's going to be interesting to see, at least as far as in the Cup Series. I'm not for certain. I don't really think he's ever had a teammate before in any of the 3 national series, now that I'm thinking about it. But this is definitely going to be interesting to see. Veteran who knows how to wheel a car. And obviously we can't directly compare. We can compare the results from last year to Eric Jones this year, but not head to head on the same team. So I think this is going to be good for Bubba Wallace, give him a little bit of a challenge. I do think that Kurt Busch is going to be more successful just because he has the experience of wheeling a car before, especially a new version of car. And that doesn't go away. The experience and the ability doesn't necessarily go away, especially as we've seen, like you pointed out, with Phoenix Racing and other lower tier teams. Where they get their next charter from, I have no clue. There had been rumors for them buying out the Front Row Motorsports, but I don't necessarily know. Maybe they get one from Rick Ware, but who knows? They still need to figure that out if they want to field his car for next season and still get actual good purse money. Anyway, let's move on. Joliet City Mayor invited the Chicago Bears, to move to Chicagoland Speedway to repurpose the facility. Do you guys think that they will move? Does this mark the end of the Speedway, and will we see a return to the track if it does not happen? Aaron, let's start with you.
Well, I think that the most obvious point is this is the end of the Speedway. Right now, I'm not hearing of any like local any local tracks going there. I've looked it up on, I guess, Google Images, and there's not really any like good like local short tracks around the Speedway that Chicagoland can really kind of siphon off of. But I think this will be the end of Chicagoland Speedway and really the famed curve backstretch. I feel that's going away. But the Bears is a little bit odd to me because they've already have an established, historical field in Soldier Field. I mean, everyone knows Soldier Field. It's such an iconic landmark. In fact, it is a historic landmark for the city of Chicago. But I really don't see them moving. I mean, it was a nice attempt to say, hey, why don't you come on over here and play in our 1.5 mile racetrack that we have to spend millions of dollars to renovate. And I feel they're going to be losing more money out of it than they will actually make of it. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. I can't believe this is a news story, okay? I could go to our town of Ripley and our mayor could hold a conference and invite the Bears to come play here. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. You've got nobody from the NFL, nobody from the Chicago Bears, nobody having anything to do with the city of Chicago or the whatever authority looks after the stadium and stuff. Nobody there has ever given any indication that they're even looking for a new home. So this is just the mayor of Joliet, fishing and throwing something out there. I can't believe it even made a news story, okay? So I'm going to say there's 0% chance of this happening. I think Aaron hit the nail on the head. All it says is we got nobody willing to come in there and race, and they are just trying to, more than anything, create some press by saying, hey, we got a big facility here. Let's see if somebody wants to come and do something with it. I think it's a bit more than just an attempt to get some press out there, letting the world know that there's a big open facility there for somebody to do something with. But there is 0% chance in my book the Bears actually go play there.
And plus, I'm sorry, Zach. I just want to
go ahead
for just a second. And plus, I went on Google Earth here and kind of like distance out between where Soldier Field is from Chicagoland Speedway. And that's an extra 35-mile drive for the players to go out there regularly, like weekly. So I feel like that's another nail in the coffin for that idea, because it's just extra travel time and more gas to waste. So
yeah, this is a non-news story. This has 0% chance of happening.
Yeah, I don't think that they'll move necessarily. I will say that the Bears did announce that they were looking for a new stadium, a new place for a new home. But they didn't really, it was just feelers. I think it's a talking stage at the very least. It does mark the end of the Speedway. I think it was already towards the end of life era for Chicagoland to begin with anyway. I think that they are trying to do everything they can to try and repurpose and get as much money as they possibly can out of the Speedway before they ultimately have to sell it. And I don't think that they will return to the track ever, just because it's just a waste of space at this point. But anyway, I am also a Packers fan, so I love that. And I would happily beat Chicago in the stadium that they currently are at, Soldier Field, or as well as in Joliet as well. Anyway, moving on, Cesar Baccarella is partnering with Tommy Joe Martins to form a new NASCAR Xfinity Series team called Alpha Prime Racing in 2022. Raja Karuth, an ARCA standout so far this season, will drive for the team next season with other rotation of drivers. Will Alpha Prime have more success with this new partnership? And what do you think of their driver choice in Raja Karuth? Tom, let's start with you.
I got to say, I really don't know much about Raja Karuth. Don't know much about his ARCA background. I probably should have researched that ahead of time, but I didn't get a chance to. So I don't know. This might be a case of two teams coming together that aren't that strong separately, but can be a little more competitive individually. I think that Jordan Anderson has shown that you can be a team owner and kind of have a rotation of drivers to help get you some solid finishes and build your organization until you can attract maybe a big name driver or develop one yourself. So I think they're maybe trying to use the rotation of drivers to follow the Jordan Anderson path a little bit because he seems to be being successful with it. But we'll just have to wait and see. This is kind of maybe a new way of doing business, a new way of establishing a team with the rotation drivers. But I'm really not sure about it. I think it's something we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Tom right here. Unfortunately, I don't know much about the Xfinity Series as much as I should. Of course, we're trying to watch them every week, but in terms of kind of the smaller teams and kind of how they're going to interact with each other and try to build themselves up, I'm not too familiar with that, I probably should. But I'm kind of going along with what Tom said. Hopefully these two small teams will kind of like combine their strengths to form kind of like a mid-tier team to kind of build themselves up to kind of attract a developing driver and work their way back up. So I hope that goes well for them. But I'm kind of like Tom here. I'm not as familiar about this as I should be.
I think just based off the partnership, I mean, we see Tommy Joe Martins. He competed all this season and last season as well, and the past couple of seasons, I think, as well, and he's done pretty decent. I can't remember off the top of my head if he's ever made the playoffs, but he's generally a 13th place driver in the standings. I think this, at this point, he can only get better. I think the rotation of drivers, like you said, Tom, has worked for other teams to be more successful. And, I think the partnership with Cesar Baccarella, who does have a lot of experience in racing and has done it himself as well. I think the power of his background and as well as Tommy Joe Martins as well I think they can compete at least in the top 10 next season, if not maybe sneaking a win at some of the restrictor plate races as well. So it'll be interesting to see. As far as the driver's choice in Raja, I think that is a smart move. I think it might be a little bit too early, but obviously we'll tell a little bit later. From my recollection, I don't believe he's ever run a truck race before, and he's jumping right into an Xfinity race. That's going to be a little bit of an adjustment to his ARCA. I believe he races in ARCA East. I don't even think he races in the actual ARCA series. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me. But I do follow him. I have watched him race before. He has won. And I think this is a interesting driver choice, but definitely something that can work out if they develop him enough. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be an instant success, but it never is. It's always going to be something that you grow and learn and develop, especially with a new driver. Okay, moving on. And I know this isn't something that you guys necessarily know about, so you guys don't have to comment. I'll just go right into mine. Ex-F1 driver and IndyCar star rookie Roman Grosjean is set for a move to IndyCar powerhouse Andretti Autosports for 2022, replacing veteran Ryan Hunter-Reay. Is this move going to make Andretti Autosports better? And do you think Grosjean deserves the opportunity? And where do you think Ryan Hunter-Reay goes? So first off, I just want to say that Roman Grosjean has had an amazing season. He tried out an oval for the first time this season at Gateway, and he was pretty much the only car passing on track and making aggressive moves. That might have been because he wasn't fuel saving, but he was still getting the moves done, and he, I think, had the fourth fastest lap in the entire race. And I'm not even talking about his road racing experience through F1. He's had, I believe, at least 8 years of experience in F1. He was challenging he won a pole. He was challenging for the win several times this season on the road courses. I definitely think he deserves this ride. I definitely think he earned this, especially with his performance this season. And we got to remember the team that he's with now, Dale Coyne Racing, isn't necessarily a powerhouse. It's not a team that consistently competes for wins every single race, but it's definitely not a bottom tier ride either. I just think he's wheeling the heck out of that car this season, and I think he definitely deserves that opportunity. Do I think it's going to make Andretti Autosports better? I don't know. That's a loaded question. I think the way they've been competing this season, you really only have one driver, Colton Herta, actually producing and getting results for the team. Other than maybe lone podiums from Ryan Hunter-Reay and Hinchcliffe and Rossi, you're not really seeing any of the dominance that we have seen from Andretti Autosports in previous seasons. So I do think this is going to make him better just because of Roman Grosjean's experience on road courses. I think that definitely helps. And I think, they're prepping this move to try and inject new life into their team as we've seen a decline in recent seasons. As far as Ryan Hunter-Reay, I don't know. I think he is still talented and potentially deserves a ride, but he wants new scenery. So I don't know if necessarily that means a manufacturer change. And I don't necessarily know if he brings sponsorship. He has been sponsored all of his career by DHL, the shipping company. And if he brings his own sponsorship, I believe there's many opportunities out there. If he doesn't bring that sponsorship, then I have to think that he goes somewhere, maybe Dale Coyne or some of the lower tier teams that don't necessarily have a chance of competing for wins every single race. But you gotta take in consideration that there have been teams that have been competing for wins that normally don't, especially this season. There's a lot of parity between the drivers and cars these past couple seasons in IndyCar that you would see versus any other series like NASCAR or Formula One. So I think he has an opportunity to win if he does go somewhere else. And I think that, depending on what kind of sponsorship he gets, will determine what kind of ride he gets for sure. Do you guys have anything to add? Probably not, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Probably not.
All right, moving on. Noah Gregson returns to Junior Motorsports for 2022, making it 4 confirmed entries, with a net likely to return next season, depending on if he heals completely for next season. Is this move good for Junior Motorsports? Does Gregson deserve this ride for next season? And will we see 6 total cars on track for Junior Motorsports next season? Tom? You're muted.
Sorry. Does Gregson deserve a ride? I mean, I think he's performed pretty well for Junior Motorsports. He's a consistent playoff driver. He knows how to get the car to victory lane. His aggressiveness can be a asset or a detriment depending on how it works out for him. I really think to some degree maybe Junior thinks his driving style reminds him a little bit of his dad, and I think that's one of the things that makes him an appealing driver for Junior. But I definitely think he deserves a ride. As far as they're going to be 6, I don't know. Junior can scout talent. He can attract sponsorship. He's proven to be a successful team owner. I don't know if he's going to have 6 or not, but I think it's going to be interesting. But I think one of the spots, whether it's 4 or 5, 6 or whatever, deserves to be Gregson. So that's all I'll have to say about that one.
Aaron?
Yeah, I definitely feel Gregson really does deserve this ride, because I'm looking at his stats right now. I mean right now for 2019. Out of 33 races, a 9.3 average finish, and then in 2020, 8.9. So for this year, a little bit of a decline, 14th, but granted, he has like what 6 DNFs so far, and some of them weren't really his fault. So he definitely has talent. He most certainly has the talent to be a top Xfinity driver, maybe possibly even a Cup driver if that ever arises. But yeah, definitely around he really does deserve the ride, and whether or not it be 6 cars, I kind of doubt it. It really is expensive to field 4 cars, let alone 5, let alone 6, and so I really don't think there will be 6 cars. I still kind of think Michael Nett is going to get the axe here eventually, but yeah, as for Noah Gregson, I feel like he does deserve this ride.
Okay, so I will say that so my 6 total cars for Junior Motorsports would be including a one-off part-time ride for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Whenever he races. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if they do keep a net. I will say the inside scoop is his father or parents both kind of pay for that ride, and in return they put Pilot on the car because they have a trucking service that they use. They get discounts on fuel and fleet cost care and stuff like that. So definitely interesting to see. I will say that Noah Gregson is not.
Aaron, are you hearing Zach? It sounds like on mine we may have had some audio problems. He looks frozen.
Yeah, you got some lag issues. It looks like.
All right.
Sorry,
so,
I'm here. Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
Noah Gregson. I think he. It's hard to say, but he has a sponsorship. We've seen flashes from him before. I think it'd be good for him to stay and have a little bit more continuity, but we have seen a regression. I do think that some of the DNFs have been his fault as well. You got to finish in order to you got to finish the race. That's like number one, and he hasn't for a lot. But we've also seen Michael Annett hover and not get in the playoffs and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think this is going to be I think this is the best option that Junior Motorsports had, and I think it's a good one for Noah. I think it's very possible that Annett stays on next season, and we could see a one-off with the 88 for next season as well. I don't know. We'll see. Moving on to the next one, and our last news. It's according to Racing Refresh. Brian Daugherty confirms that JTG Daugherty Racing will not pursue a second charter in 2022. What does this mean for Ryan Preece? Will a single car team help them improve their performance for next season? Aaron, let's start with you.
Yeah, and this is kind of where I think that 2311 is going to get their next charter. Obviously, he's going to go down to one car. I'm just assuming he's going to stick with. Okay. So has it been confirmed that he's sticking with with Stenhouse, or is he going with Ryan Preece? Has that been confirmed yet?
So Stenhouse is confirmed under contract for next season for 2022, and I will remind you that they only have one charter. The 37 has been racing without a charter this entire season. Gotcha. He was not eligible to get higher purse money because he didn't have a charter.
Okay, yeah. So really, I think that charter is where they're going to get it. Actually, that kind of throws my whole thing on the bus. Okay, I did not read the news this week.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you were about to say something.
I think Ryan Preece is. I think he's done the Cup Series. Unfortunately, it seemed like he did okay in a few races, especially at Road America, where I think he really kind of showed his flash and talent. But other than that, I'm not sure if it was just him or if it was the equipment that he was in that was getting like subpar performances. But from what I saw, he is a good driver. He is a fantastic driver. I'm not sure if it's just the equipment that he's in or what, but I'm not sure if he can really go anywhere else in the Cup Series. It's going to be very unfortunate for him.
Tom?
A couple of things here is I don't think they're going to get better by going back to one car. I think we're in an age where teammates and teamwork and sharing of information is so valuable. So I think this is probably to some degree a financial move. So I don't think they're going to get better by going back to one car. I think Ryan Preece shocked me when he dropped down to, was it the Truck Series, and put the truck in victory lane. So to me, he showed there that he can wheel a car. Now, maybe there's such a big difference between the Cup and the Truck that it's not that relevant, but he impressed me when he dropped down and had an impressive run and put it in victory lane. So I hope he lands somewhere, but I don't think going backwards to one vehicle is going to help. But this story right here, I want to talk about. It came from Racing Refresh. Those are my friends. Those are my buddies. They talked to me about setting in on the Zoom calls where they have the press conferences and getting a chance to talk to the drivers and asking Dale Jarrett questions. Check them out, racingrefresh.com. They have great content on there. They're getting like 10,000 readers a month. Check them out. These are my buddies. I'm glad to see that they are becoming a go-to source for us for our news. They recently got credentialed by NASCAR as a media organization, so I'm thrilled for them. I want to give them a big shout out. But yeah, I'm more excited that we got a story off their website than I am about the actual story. But congratulations to my friends.
Yes, definitely. I will say that I think Ryan Preece, I think this marks the end of Ryan Preece's Cup career. I think it'd be beneficial for him to go towards Truck or Xfinity for next season for sure. We saw how well he did in the Truck Series, especially in, help me out, DGM, David Gillen Motorsports Truck?
I am not sure.
I believe so.
Yes, I think it was. Anyway, and he won, and they're not necessarily competing up front every single week for wins. So I definitely think he could land a decent ride in the Cup or Truck Series next season. There's just not enough Cup rides open, and that's unfortunate, but that's what happens. And I think contrary to what you were saying, Tom, I do think that moving to a single car team is going to help JTG out next season, just because they can focus all their efforts into one car. Definitely the two cars, even if they were a copy of each other, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, especially if unfortunately, like we saw last season, not necessarily this season, but the 37 was crashing a lot and having to repair the car and having to repair parts and build parts. I mean, I think they said on the video that they prepare and build, or they're one of the few that prepare, satellite teams that prepare and build all of their cars themselves. And that tends to hurt whenever they are running towards the back and get collected or whatnot. So I think that the one car team, especially with Ricky Stenhouse, is going to be important for them. And I think they'll see some success as far as some improvement for next season with the new car coming out. And that's all I got for the news this week. And that's all I have. I guess we're moving on to who's hot and who's not.
All right, who's hot and who is not? All right, Aaron, you go first. I love your picks on the who's hot, who's not. So let it fly, man. Let's hear it.
Oh, Lord, I never thought I would put them in. But here it goes, just to give them something good for the season. Remember how earlier I said Rick Ware Racing got top 10? Well, guess what? They're my who's hot this week, just to give them something. I mean, granted, like I said, it took half the field for him to do, half the field crashing out and almost, getting concussions to do it. But hey, it happened, and that will go down forever as Rick Ware Racing getting a top 10. And like I said in this little document here, I seriously cannot believe I'm saying this, but Rick Ware Racing, congrats on your top 10.
Hey, if they get a victory, I am breaking out the sign that says "Repent now, the end is near." All right, I'm just telling you, if they get a victory, that's a sign of the apocalypse, I think.
Yeah, yes, sir, and I'll be your first follower. Jeez. All right, and for my who's not this week, I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez. I mean, just the last 6 races have been absolutely abysmal for him. Two top 20 finishes over the last 6 races with 2 DNFs. Granted, the one in Daytona wasn't really his fault. Kurt Busch kind of misjudged there, but still a DNF is a DNF. And Rick Ware Wednesday day got hurt first. Oh, God.
Oh, God.
It's gone if that happens. But anyway...
Jeez.
But anyway, yeah, Suarez, he's not having a good 6 weeks already. So yeah, that's my who's hot to who's not this week. Tom, let's go for yours.
All right, so who's hot, who's not? I am going with who's hot. Probably not a surprise pick, but I'm going with Ryan Blaney, 2 wins in a row. And I want to say, speaking of Racing Refresh, you can go on their website and see an article I wrote at the beginning of the year where I made bold predictions, and I said Ryan Blaney will have a breakout season with 3 wins. So I called that in February. So congratulations to Mr. Blaney on his 3rd win of the season, a breakout season, because I don't think he's ever had more than 1 win in any season. You could kind of see this coming. Last year, he had a ton of speed in stages 1 and 2 at a lot of tracks, and then couldn't keep up with the track, couldn't make the changes, couldn't whatever, and didn't have it in stage 3. I feel like he's grown and matured and is really putting together a solid season this year.
I will say you fought us on that. All 3 were gonna put Ryan Blaney on our who's hot for this week because he has been.
I called dibs on that.
Yeah,
one.
You called dibs because you're his fan.
Mostly because I wanted to brag about my prediction from the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't get to brag very often. I'm not right very much, so I gotta take advantage of it when I can.
Hey,
as far as who is not, I am going to go with unwrecked race cars because I think they were few and far between at Daytona.
Yeah.
I think we were probably in the single digits. If we were above single digits, it was not very much. That was a war of attrition. It's what you expect when you got so many guys who know they have to win to get in and points are irrelevant, and it's the last regular season race. I'm sure the teams were not happy with all the tore-up race cars. I'm sure NASCAR was thrilled with the level of intensity and excitement that it brought. But unwrecked race cars are few and far between, so they are my who is not for the week. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I will say with the Ryan Blaney thing, we all predicted last week that he was going to get more than 3 wins, 3 wins on the season. And it happened that the podcast after we said that. So I think we have to make that a weekly green flag, red flag statement.
Okay. All right. Just remember, you guys picked it a week before it happened. I picked it 8 months before it happened. Okay. Just so everyone is clear.
All right. So my who's hot this week is going to be Colleague Racing. Obviously, they have had amazing success, not only in the Xfinity Series, but also in the Cup Series with their win at Indianapolis Road Course. With their news that they're going to be moving up to Cup next season with 2 cars, and as well as their success this season and a real chance at winning the championship in the Xfinity Series. I think it's very fitting that they're on the Who's Hot list this episode. But anyway, they're doing amazing. I think this really is going to get the momentum, and I think AJ Allmendinger has a really, really, really good chance at winning the championship. He won the regular season's point standings, and I think this is going to be an amazing run. We might see Austin Cindric get upset. So definitely something to watch. As far as my who's not, I'm going to say Joey Logano, and I know that Steve Throop in the comments said it. That was going to be mine as well. Joey Logano, he has an 18.6 average finishing position since Pocono race 1, and is tied for the second worst of all playoff drivers with that 18.6. But William Byron is tied with Joey Logano for the 18.6 average finishing position. However, William Byron also has, I believe, 2 more top 5s than Joey Logano with 3. Joey Logano only has 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s in 9 races. That is absolutely abysmal. He's finished outside the top 20 in the past 4 races alone. And I think that is not what you want, especially heading into the playoffs. I hope they get this turned around, but obviously this is not what you want. He's been performing worse than Brad Keselowski these past couple races. Brad Keselowski is actually the second ranked Penske driver. Obviously, Ryan Blaney's ranked first, but it is not a good look, and it doesn't give me much hope that he can progress. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a first-round exit, but if he wants to make the Final Four, they're definitely going to have to make a turnaround for sure. And yeah, that's what I have for who's hot, who's not this week.
All right, that is going to bring us to one of my favorite segments, which is Green Flag, Red Flag, hosted by one of my favorite people, Aaron Simmons, Simoleons. So take it away. Get us into Green Flag, Red Flag.
All right, gentlemen, for Green Flag, Red Flag number 1, Ryan Blaney's third win of the season elevates him into the category of elite drivers, and he now has to be considered a serious title contender. Green flag or red flag? Let's go with you, Zach.
Elite. What do you define elite drivers? Elite drivers, as far as like in his career, or just the season?
That is up for you to decide.
Okay. Well, I will say that I don't think this necessarily puts him up into the elite driver status. It's great that he got his third win. But no, I don't think he's necessarily can be considered an elite driver. I think he's a very good driver. There's more. His teammates have also, we saw last season, scored multiple wins. I do think that this is a really good step, and I think he can be considered a serious title contender, especially with the way they have been progressing. But we'll see how well they perform. Penske has been off and on in the playoffs these past couple seasons. So they either are on it and they make it, and they have at least 1 or 2 drivers in the final round, and we'll see how well that turns out. Last season it didn't work out for him. We'll have to see what happens this season.
All right, so I'm gonna go to you.
I'm going to say green flag. I'm going to say he is a serious title contender. I'm not going to say he's the favorite. I think you've still got to say that if I was putting my final 4 together right now, I would say it's going to be Larson, it's going to be Elliott, it's probably going to be Kyle Busch, and then the 4th one is kind of a wild card, and I think he is in the mix for that. So I'm going to say green flag. He's a serious title contender, but I wouldn't say he is the favorite at this point. But we all know momentum is a huge factor, and when you get momentum, it's a hard thing to define. It's a hard thing to capture, but man, it can do great things for you when you get it, whether it is confidence, whether it is some other intangible. He's got it right now, which I think is a great thing, but I'm going to go green flag on that one.
Yeah, I'll definitely go green flag in the fact that he is a serious title contender now. I mean, watching this season, he has won with cars that like cars like Larson or Elliott or some other like Gibbs driver has dominated the race, but then not Elliott. Blaney squeaks it out in the end with a car that was like maybe top 10, top 5 caliber. And so he is a very dangerous driver to watch out for in the end. I will not say he is elite yet, but he is certainly showing that he has a drive and he has the crew behind him to really get into that level of elite. And so we will move on to green flag, red flag number 2 of the night. Kaulig Racing has surpassed Junior Motorsports as the premier Xfinity Series team. Green flag, red flag, we'll go with you, Tom.
I'm going to say green flag, but I'm going to say in a photo finish. I really am a big fan of Matt Kaulig, and I may be a little biased here, but I feel like with what they have done on the road courses, what they've done on the super speedways, I feel like they have become the premier team in that Xfinity League or Xfinity Series right now. So I am going to say green flag on that one as well. Yes, they have surpassed Junior Motorsports.
I think this question is a little bit too broad, but I don't think I'm going to say red flag. I don't think Kaulig Racing has surpassed Junior Motorsports as the premier Xfinity Series team, because Junior Motorsports has been around for a long time and we still see constant success from them. I wouldn't say that, but anyway, I think, this season we've definitely seen a big jump in Kaulig Racing and what they do, and I'm a big fan of Kaulig Racing and their drivers and the team that they have around them. And I do think that they have, like I said, a real shot at winning the championship this season, not with just one driver, but multiple drivers. So I think it's definitely something to watch. But no, I don't. I'm going to say red flag. I don't think they've surpassed Junior Motorsports as the premier Xfinity Series team yet.
Yeah, I'm also going to go. I'm going to agree with Zach here. I don't think Kaulig has surpassed Junior Motorsports. I think they're more like on equal footing. You do have your top caliber drivers like Allmendinger, like Justin Haley, and then you have your top 2 drivers for Junior Motorsports like Noah Gregson, like Josh Berry, who's up and coming, who looks to have an amazing pool of talent that Junior Motorsports can draw off of. But then you have, kind of your other back marker teams that they're good, but not really up there contending for wins very often. But I really don't think that – I do think Kaulig is headed in the very right direction to possibly surpass Junior Motorsports in the future. But as of right now, I don't believe they did. I think they're more or less on equal footing. But alrighty, we'll go with green flag, red flag number 3 of the night. The playoffs begin this weekend at Darlington, and Hendrick Motorsports returns to dominance with a win there. Green flag, red flag, we'll begin with you, Tom.
Yes, absolutely. This is Darlington. This is the Darlington Strike. This is running the high side. This is custom made for Kyle Larson. This is his kind of track. He runs the high side, I think, better than anybody else. I also think you got to look back to last year. This is a race where Chase Elliott had a chance to win it and then made some bad decisions at the end. I think this is custom made for maybe a Hendrick 1-2 with Larson and Elliott up there. So I'm saying yes, this is a green flag all the way for me. Zach, what about you?
Man, we've seen the Toyotas get up there and do well as well. But I do think just something about it makes me feel like it's definitely going to be a Hendrick dominated race. I mean, Kyle Larson, we know, runs the top side very well. William Byron, also Alex Bowman as well. Just all amazing drivers, and I think that they really do have a shot at winning. And I'm going to have to say green flag for sure. Something about it feels right to me.
Yeah, I'm really digging the Larson pick. Last time we went there, he was I mean, he was clawing in Truex but just ran out of time. I'm gonna go red flag on technicality. I think Hendrick is going to dominate there, but I don't think they're going to win. I think it's either going to be either a Gibbs driver or it's going to be Blaney again because he is riding that hot streak, and he'll figure something out. Darlington. I don't think he ran well Darlington last time they were there, but hey, who knows? Who knows? It's a Penske team. They're smart people. They could figure something out. And plus, you know what? And plus, like I said earlier, he doesn't have to have the best car in the field. He needs to be there when it counts. So I'm gonna go red flag. I'm probably gonna say Gibbs is gonna win, but Hendrick will dominate.
We are all over the place on this one. Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, had to come sometime, didn't it?
Yeah, we can't agree on everything. That's
No,
what
we
makes it.
can't.
Guys, just to let everyone know, we are doing our fan interaction segment just after this last green flag, red flag statement. So, guys, get your questions ready in the chat so we can pull them up and give you guys some love.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, we cannot do it last week due to time constraints. But this week we are bringing it back. So please get your questions in here very soon, and we will get them answered and shown on screen for all of our viewers to see. But all right, going into our last question for the night. With every big name seat taken in the Cup Series, Matty D will drop to the Xfinity Series for 2022. Green flag or red flag? We'll start with you, Zach.
I think it's the only possibility for him. I'm going to say green flag. With the rumors of Front Row Motorsports getting bought out, I think it's very likely that happens, or at least they get rid of their second charter. And that leaves virtually no options in the Cup Series that are worth taking. I definitely think that there are some decent Xfinity Series rides opening up, but they obviously, you're going to have to bring your own sponsors, with the exception of maybe the Colleague racing spot. And I think that's a perfect fit if that does happen. And obviously they have a Cup ride that he can potentially parlay that success, if he does find success in the Xfinity Series, to potentially a Cup ride for future season. So I think that's likely going to happen. I'm going to say green flag.
Yeah, I've got to go the same route just because I don't think he has any choice. I don't know that there is anything else available to him right now, at least nothing that is a competitive ride. Now, there's the school of thought that says you stay in the Cup Series so you're there every week and your name's still around and people know you can still drive Cup. But right now, I don't think he has any other options. I think he's got to go Xfinity, but I'm not sure where he's going to land up. But I think Xfinity is where he's going to wind up. What do you say, Aaron?
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of have to agree. I think really the Xfinity Series, or hell, maybe even the Truck Series, is really his only option if he wants to stay in NASCAR. Which is a shame. He is a very good driver. He's a top tier caliber driver. He just doesn't have any options right now. I'm sure there are some good Xfinity teams down there who will want to take Matty D because of course he is a Cup driver, and of course Cup drivers usually do well in the Cup Series as that's been time tested and proven. But yeah, I do see Matty D going down into the Xfinity Series, much to my chagrin.
Yeah, I'm going to say this again. I said it last week. I'm still upset. The Wood brothers totally blew this.
Yeah,
they made the crew chief change way too late. And now that they've made it, you're seeing just exactly how competitive he can be. And before they made the change, or right about the same time, they went out and signed the young, unproven Harrison Burton. And they really, I don't think, evaluated Matt fairly because he was handicapped by a poor crew chief. And now they're seeing what he can do, and they've already committed to a young, unproven driver. Still think they blew this one.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. As a Matty D fan, but also as a Wood Brothers fan, I'm kind of hurting in both areas right now. I think Harrison Burton is a good driver, but I think that they made the decision too late, as we can see. I mean, other than the Daytona finish, he's been in the top 10 since they made the crew chief, or roughly 11th or top 10. since they made the crew chief change. Daytona, he actually was leading and then got taken out, or going for the lead with the big run and got taken out by a double block. But most people are doing that all night, so I can't really necessarily give any chagrin to Chase's move. But I will say that it's very unfortunate to see, and hopefully he can rebound in the Xfinity Series and get a quality ride, maybe with a colleague, and potentially have a future. But who knows? We'll see.
Okay. All right. So it looks like we have got a couple of questions submitted here for the fan interaction here. Let's see what we've got here. Let's see if we can pick one here. I think we've addressed this one before, but let's talk about it again. Do you guys think the next generation cars will close the gap between the top teams and the lower level teams? Let's go with Aaron first.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. I'm really hoping to see kind of more of the lesser tier teams really kind of compete at tracks like, I don't know, like Texas or like a Martinsville or something like that, and not really kind of like have the top tier teams dominate. And so that's what I'm really hoping for. Will it happen? Probably not. I think if your team has the most funding, you're going to be able to test more and kind of see. You can see how much research you can really pump into the things and kind of know what that new car is going to do. But I think really unfortunately, I don't think that's really going to make much of a change. Now, at least kind of towards the later. In the beginning, it might, but I think that seems kind of more adapt to the newer car. I think it won't really matter.
Yeah. If you're not what's the saying goes? If you're not cheating, you're not winning. They're definitely going to find a way to, especially the top teams, extract extra horsepower or less weight or whatnot, as much as they possibly can. But I do think that this is going to level the playing field somewhat, especially Steve Thrupp is making some good comments. He's saying all the parts are bought from third parties, which is, their intention. Their intention is to make everything the same, at least on the important component side. And I think, like I said, motor-wise, they're on their own. Yeah. We've seen Chevy do really, really well this season because they seem to have a better engine program. So I don't necessarily think that we're not going to see one team or one manufacturer not do as well as the other. Or, we're going to get, an even amount of wins. But I do think that we will see some parity between the cars and the teams and points next season.
I think it may close the gap a little bit, but I still think you're going to see the bigger teams that can afford, the best equipment. They can hire the most employees. They can do whatever. They can, pay the most money to hire the best engineers. I still think they're going to be on top, but I do think it will be a smaller gap. So I think it will close the gap, but I think you'll still see the bigger teams and the most funding be the ones that are in victory lane the most. Okay, let's hit one more fan interaction question here. And I think we really only got one other, and there it is. And I got to step away for just a second. So Aaron, why don't you start with this one, and hopefully I will be back by the time it is my turn to talk.
All right.
Alrighty. Really, I'm all in favor to bring the multi-lane tracks back, whether it be PJ1, whether it be the resin, whether it be nothing at all. I'm perfectly content with whatever they do to the track to make nearly every track more like a two-lane track again. Like you usually see with Atlanta, where you have the high line and the low line, where you see kind of just the older style tracks where some cars work better in the middle, some cars work on the high line, some work on the low line. Just whatever. Just do whatever you have to do to make it a multi-lane track again, instead of just like every car going for the low line, every car going for the high line again.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't think the PJ1 is necessarily the way to go, just because we've seen it ruin tracks like Texas, and I'm blanking on the other one that they used it on that is ruined now. But I think the resin is a good alternative, but also, we have all the technology in the world at our fingertips, and I think that we need to use that and be able to find a way to make 2-lane tracks and make racing good again, for lack of a better term. But yeah, like I said, like Aaron just said, I think that's what everyone wants to see. And I think that the resin was a good additive this past race at Michigan, because we saw that lane come into play late in the races and give drivers different ways to get around the track. So definitely, I think yes, there needs to be something, and the resin definitely showed some improvement.
Yeah, I kind of basically agree. I think resin is probably the best option we have right now. And I think, like anybody else, I want to see multi-groove racing. I want to see lots of passing. So I think right now the resin is probably the next version of that it's going to be. We're going to see that replacing the PJ1. What I am really curious about, though, and what we have seen that may be a bigger factor than even the resin or the PJ1, is clean air seems to rule. And if you get in clean air, you can block, you can run away, you can drive better. That right now, I don't know if this next gen car is going to make it to where clean air is such an advantage or not. I think if we can solve that, that might have a bigger impact on the racing than the PJ1 or the resin. But again, that's my opinion. I think the PJ1 or the resin is great when it improves the racing. But right now, I think the clean air and the problems with the dirty air, which that's existed forever, if they could solve that, that would, I think, have a bigger impact on the racing. So that, I think, is about it for the fan interaction. And we are about almost hour and 10 minutes into this. So it is time for our white flag parting comments. So I will go with Aaron first. So Aaron, what do you think? What is your white flag comment for the evening?
White flag comment for the night. I was gonna say, thank God college football is coming back. I miss my Vols a little bit. Have no idea how they're going to do this. So we can just mute Zach real quick. But no, God, I have no idea how my Vols are going to do this week. Hell, this season. I mean, I'm pretty sure we don't even know who our quarterback's going to be going into the future. But we're using our Thursday game as kind of like a practice. Yeah, fuck you, Steve. But anyway, who I do here? But Tom, no. All guy, get that off the screen. Get off the screen now. No, get out of it. No.
You got to feel bad for him. Come on, Stevie.
Yeah, man, come on. We haven't been good in like 5 years and like 20 years after that. So man, come on, give me some break here. But yeah, underline. Thank God, college football's back.
Okay. All right, Zach, what do you have to say as your white flag comment?
Man, honestly, I really don't have much. I'm excited for college football to start up. I am excited for NFL to start up here soon as well. So football is going to start back up. That's going to be amazing. One little racing tidbit, I guess I'm trying to keep it racing, is Jimmy Johnson did some tests at Texas Motor Speedway in an IndyCar on the oval with a couple of other Chip Ganassi veterans, Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, and Tony Kanaan. And he apparently turned a lap that would have put him fourth on the grid at the race, the real IndyCar race there earlier in the season. So I think that it's a good thing for him to jump into ovals. It's definitely a different animal, like he said. He was mentioning the entire time while he was racing, it was a completely different animal. And I think it's gonna be good to see him. Hopefully he does race on ovals next season. And yeah, that's all I got for my white flag. Okay.
All right. My white flag comment is purely racing related. We are coming up on Labor Day weekend, and we are racing at Darlington. I think it is great. There were a number of years where Darlington got cut back to one date. It lost its Labor Day date for a period of time, I believe. I think it's great that we're going back to a little bit of the NASCAR tradition and a little bit of the roots of where NASCAR came from by running at Darlington on Labor Day. I think it's great. I'm a big fan of some of the old NASCAR traditions, so I'm excited to see us running at Darlington on Labor Day. And the only other parting thought I have is, once again, want to send out our thoughts and prayers to everyone impacted by Hurricane Ida. And I don't think we're even to the point that we know everybody that's impacted. There's going to be a lot of flooding and a lot of damage and a lot of things that people are going to have to deal with that it's just now getting to them. So thoughts and prayers to everyone impacted by Ida.
Yes, 100%.
And thanks to everybody for tuning in. And I think we are done for this week. See you guys next Tuesday.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Guys.